I'm Alicia.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome to the Fangirl Diaries, a podcast where we talk about our obsessions,
reminisce about our teen icons,
and explore the books, movies, and shows that made us the incredibly nerdy 30-somethings that we now are.
Hey, Alicia.
Good evening, Maddie.
Oh, we are reveling in the 2 days that the new Taylor Swift album has been out for, and we thought we ought to respond quickly.
How early in the day did you listen to it? Did you wake up
Actually,
and
not
listen
that
to it?
early. No, I had to wait until my lunch break, but that was okay. It was manageable.
I felt really sorry for Arno, my almost 1-year-old, because he woke up at something like, he normally gets up at about 7 a.m. And I think I sent you a video of him holding a sort of little maraca. But I was like, good morning. Right. Fate of Ophelia, here we go. And track one. What we're doing, literally the morning kind of nappy change. So I think he thought he was in some sort of immersive musical for the first. How long is this album? 40 something?
It's only 40 minutes or so, yeah.
Yeah. And then I obviously had to listen to it again because I don't think changing a baby in the morning allowed me to properly absorb,
particularly all the lyrics, I imagine.
the magic of this. And the album is called The Life of A Showgirl.
Yes. And I think from that, I probably was expecting more showgirliness, more theatrics, more kind of like bigger. And actually, yeah, my first impression was that it was a lot more chill than I was necessarily anticipating.
I think we should add the context that neither you or I have exchanged our proper view on this
No.
album yet. We were like, we won't talk about it until we're recording it. We sort of WhatsApped each other back and forth just a tiny bit in the day, like talking about like what song we were on. But I have no idea how you're going to feel about this, and you don't know how I'm going to feel about this. And I know a lot of people feel a really strong way about this album. So
yeah,
I'm
I think
excited.
I would probably caveat with saying that I am pretty bad at having strong opinions on albums and music without listening to them lots of times. I feel like I often change my opinion the more I hear something. I change my opinion based on context. Like when singles come out and you hear like a particular song way more than all the others, sometimes I'll really get into that one. Whereas maybe when I listened to it the first time, it didn't particularly pick up on it. Or music videos often really change my perception of a song. And so I will absolutely be giving my initial opinions, but I feel like I reserve the right to like change my opinions in a few months' time as things change.
I have a real nervousness that I'm going to listen back to this podcast episode and just as you said, somehow regret or not recognize the opinion that I'm going to give today.
Yeah, it's
exactly
totally possible.
And I think the sort of evolution process that a Taylor Swift listener goes through is really particular to her sequential album releases. Like I have changed my mind over and over again about which of her albums I like, which tracks on the album I prefer. I often start off liking the more accessible singles just because they stand out a bit more from an album. And then I'll tire of those and fall in love with like, I don't know, some sort of track 7 or 8 or like a vault track or just because it's feeling a bit fresher to me.
Oh, more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we also bring so much hype and so much expectation to anything Taylor Swift does that, like, would you say you felt like it exceeded your expectations? It fell a little bit short of your expectations? It was bang on?
Right. So I think my expectations were particularly set by Taylor Swift herself, who first of all called it The Life of a Showgirl. And second of all, she released this playlist in advance of the album, which was called, and I've got it here, And Baby That's Show Business for You. And it's in the colors of the new album. And it was a couple of months before. And it was every single like Max Martin highly pop produced song that she's ever produced, and it's all the bangers. It's like if I read it out to you, it's 22, it's Blank Space, it's Bad Blood, it's I Did Something Bad, it's Shake It Off, it's Style, and
Oh, this
Wildest
is a
Dreams.
hen party
And it's
track
like,
list.
yes,
Oh, this is
and
like
so
a wedding track
she
list.
Taylor Swift herself had set my expectations to be that. And
Yep.
that is some high expectations because if anyone's listened to the podcast we did last year with Ben, the three of us, about Taylor Swift, that's like my favorite bit of Taylor Swift is like the dancey bangers, the fun pop, the like dramatic reputation stuff, all of that stuff. So my expectation was I want that because she's
Mhm.
told me that's what she's giving me. And then she didn't quite give that. There are a couple of songs on there that are poppy and fun, but there were no songs where I was like, that's Shake It Off or that's 22. Like we just didn't have that. And that's kind of what I wanted. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy some of the songs and yeah, yeah. So it didn't quite meet those expectations, but maybe they were just set too high.
Do you think Taylor Swift is always set up to fail or in a vulnerable position because she is known for having these different eras, ever so slightly reinventing herself each time? But it means that we all love a particular version of Taylor Swift, and that when a new album comes out, if it doesn't align with the version that we are hoping for,
Yes.
there's a problem.
Yes, maybe. But also, I would have also been happy if I'd felt like this had like a distinct era. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't have that either. It's not something new. It's
Right.
like versions of what we've heard before, but not
Yep.
quite the same. And I
Yes.
don't know, I like Life of a Showgirl could be a showgirl era. Like she was on the
Yep.
Eras tour. She was, yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. It's
Oh,
so interesting.
okay. So here come my list of initial problems with it. And I have I have lots of
Yeah,
positives.
yeah, I want to hear
These are
all the
just
good stuff too.
these are my initial negatives. Is that there was so much of this album that I felt derivative.
Hmm.
Um, there were a lot of bits of the tracks where I thought, oh, but that sounds like Jackson 5. Or, oh, that I swear that's Empire of the Sun.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
I literally thought, oh,
We
I
both
know
immediately
this.
thought Lana Del Rey at the beginning of
Oh,
like the album.
that was our first WhatsApp exchange to each other. We were like, this is giving Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, and then I mean,
Um,
obviously, Wood as well, which I'm sure we'll get to, is just trying its best to be a Sabrina Carpenter song, and Taylor Swift is not Sabrina Carpenter. Can
oh,
we do something
a
different, please?
100%. And but it also, as you said, um, felt like it was being derivative of that she was borrowing almost from the different eras of herself, but that they somehow weren't quite hitting the same pitch that her better versions were. So there were versions that I thought, like, oh, this is a bit Reputation, but
Hmm.
actually, then I'd rather listen to some of the songs on Reputation. Or, oh, this one's ever so slightly more introspective, or this one feels a little bit more grounded in fiction, and perhaps this is giving folklore, but then not quite what I want. So I'm going to go and dig out folklore. And it didn't, for me, have like you said, a cohesive new era
Yeah.
established.
Whereas visually it has. Like the
Right?
stuff that she's put out on Instagram and on the vinyls and everything is like so visually interesting and different. The only song that fitted that vibe that she's put out there is the title track at the end of the album, The Life of a Showgirl, which I actually love. I actually think that song is great. Like I would listen to that and keep listening to that. That's probably one of the only ones I can see myself like really adding to the list of my favorite songs
Yeah.
because it is a new vibe. It's a new kind of, it felt theatrical and dramatic, which was what I was expecting. Um, and it fit, yeah, it fit with what I was kind of hoping from the era. But the other ones didn't. As you say, they kind of borrowed from other artists and other eras in a way that, yeah, just meant like I can't quite place it yet. But as we've said, like maybe in a few months' time we will feel differently. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, but this is a good point about there was a distinct misalignment between the promotion, the like self-promotional images and the branding, the color scheme, the glitter, and what is actually there. musically. And that
Yeah.
feels unusual from Taylor because Midnight's is so cohesive visually and
Mm.
musically, and that's what works. And there's absolutely nothing about the imagery on Tortured Poets Department that doesn't link directly to what you're listening to. You think, oh right, I'm getting this moody, shadowy, tortured album. But when all those photos were coming out, and you and I and some of our friends were sending these around to each other, like, bloody hell. Like, because these a lot of the self-promotional shots were the most glam stuff that we've ever
Yeah.
seen from Taylor. It looked high budget. It looked, to me, I was thinking this is going to be like, this is like Britney Spears circus.
Yes, it looked circus, or
And
it looked like Parisian kind of like Moulin Rouge, or
Mhm.
like dancers and showgirls and like cabaret and that kind of vibe.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The aesthetic seemed to be um like Taylor wearing outfits. You're quite right. Are directly from Moulin Rouge, and some of it is that like it's the best she's ever looked. She's top of her game. She's come off of the Eras tour, and I absolutely anticipated that we were getting an album that was going to give us a combination of kind of behind the scenes reality check of what it is to be a showgirl. So for like some of the if we were going to have those more emotional tracks, which I always expect from Taylor,
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted ones about the reality of how much your feet hurt after a show and what
Performance, yeah.
performance and what it does to your body and the endurance.
But we
And
kind of got
also with
that
all the
in
spangles.
yeah, we kind of got more of that in the Tortured Poets than we did in
Mhm.
this. Like we got I Can
Yeah,
Do It With a Broken Heart, which I think fits the showgirl vibe more than
yeah,
it does, which
yeah.
is so interesting. And we actually didn't get much. I think we got a lot of songs that were about being in the public eye.
Mhm.
And I think maybe her version of the showgirl is the mega worldwide celebrity. And she was using the term showgirl when actually what she was talking about in the album was people's impressions of her as a public figure and being able, and doing her best to kind of throw that off and not worry about what people think and that kind of thing, which yeah, we've maybe heard that before a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was so surprised though to hear it based on all of the way that it had been trailed and promoted and kind of teased almost. I wasn't sure what we were getting, but I didn't think it was what we got.
Yeah.
Um,
Should we try and talk about some of the bits that we did like, some of the songs or some of
oh
the
yeah,
overall stuff that we did like? Yeah, I would start with the first and last tracks, which I
yeah,
both really loved. They kind of
me too.
bookended the album really well.
Yeah.
We already just talked about Life of a Showgirl. We both love theatre, we love drama, we love like, and it felt like it was a theatrical kind of finale, which I love. And
Mhm.
um and then Fate of Ophelia equally I really liked at the beginning. Um I thought it was really interesting actually that this one from a lyrical point of view, it's it was different from what I expected. The Fate of Ophelia, obviously, you're giving like Shakespeare references, you're giving like, this kind of tragic story. But actually what it was about was that she was saved from that fate by, we assume, Travis.
Bye,
Like and
Travis.
his by and it was kind of interesting. And maybe it we've talked previously about her relationship with Travis and her engagement and whether we, how excited we are or not excited we are or whatever. And this kind of it told an interesting part of the story to me, which was that like she was expressing that she had in the past like had this kind of tragedy story and all of her love affairs ended in these like tragedies and she was part of these and they were part of big dramatic stories and literary stories and whatever, and Travis is the guy that's like literally taken her out of that. She's no
Hmm.
longer in the literary world. She's been taken out of that story. And I think that's kind of what you've responded to a little bit in the past. It's like, oh, but what about the big romantic love story? And it's like, well, yeah, but he's the one that has changed things. And she doesn't need to have this like tragedy anymore, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yes, that was. I remember when she got engaged, and I had my uh selfish moment. And oh, maybe we just need to do a side note then on. We're going to have let's just do a quick segue into Taylor's engagement here because we kind of have to address it, and it has really conditioned a lot of this album.
Yeah, I mean, there's masses in this album about Travis, obviously.
This might as well be called. I'm amazed Travis isn't listed as like a co-producer. So it's like, Travis, I can really sense you sitting at the sidelines, maybe even like holding up various placards with like lyrical suggestions on them. Um, and also feeling quite like, if you were Travis, you had a great day.
Well,
Like
yeah.
yesterday. You had a great day. People will have been texting you, people will have been thinking about you. You are very much in the conversation right now for various reasons that we will come to. But yeah, when Taylor got engaged to Travis, and I really couldn't tell when they were kind of initially dating whether this was going to be just another different boyfriend for Taylor, and possibly even like if it wasn't to kind of go the distance, could produce another very interesting album. Like he seemed like a different kind of guy
Yeah.
that she was with. But now for this to be the end of the story, um, I say the end of the story. That makes it sound like you die at that point, but you don't. But like,
Yeah. Marriage is but the beginning, Alicia.
yeah. But for Taylor, like artistically, um, that is the end of the cycle of her giving these albums that reflect, like you said, kind of romantic tragedy. And I thought it was great that she sort of self satirized it, but like used that as the narrative for Fate of Ophelia. I thought it was very clever. I too was expecting it to maybe just be more of a thoughtful kind of dramatization of Ophelia, or her inhabiting the character, giving Ophelia a
Yeah.
voice. And she did do that, but she saves Ophelia from the tragedy that befalls her in Hamlet, which is that she dies.
Yeah.
Mm. But situates, and this is where I start to kind of go, oh, I'm trying not to find it a bit icky, but like the football jog saves her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is something in me that is still trying to reconcile my like dark, moody, literary queen, Taylor, with the ending being that she marries the like the football guy.
I know. And this is what we discussed
I'm finding it
when they
hard.
got engaged. But I think we just have to like separate ourselves a little bit from her and our like parasocial relationship with her and be like, look, you, Alicia, might not have ended up with the jock. You would if you were in that situation, that's not where you would have ended up. But she would, and she's happy. And
Yeah,
like, and I think that is what the song is saying.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's exactly what the song is saying. It's like, look, no, I can escape from this literary tragedy life and just have like a normal, nice life with the nice guy.
Yeah. And actually, of the multiple times that her and Travis's newfound happiness is referenced throughout this album, this was one of the tracks where I liked it.
It's more
Where
interesting.
it
Yeah.
was more interesting, and I felt joyful for her. Whereas, and I felt her feeling joyful.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some parts of this album that I like less, or even find kind of confusing with who I understand Taylor Swift to be, where I don't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
like the way that Travis was brought in. There are moments that I felt were smug. Sorry, Taylor. There
Mm.
were moments that I felt were unnecessarily smutty. Sorry, Taylor. And I'm a big fan of the smut. Like,
Yeah.
if anyone has watched or listened to mine and your multiple podcasts on God knows everything, books, TV, film, I don't have a problem with that. But I did on this occasion, and we'll come to that.
Yeah. Were there any other songs that stood out to you as like ones you really liked before we move
Yes,
on to the ones we have issues with?
yes, I love Opalite. Love
Oh,
it,
yeah.
love it. To me, it was like, and maybe it's just my brain, but I was like, has Taylor Swift read Fourth Wing?
I don't
Did you
know.
think, did you think that, mate? I
No,
was
that didn't come to my
like,
mind. No.
lightning and a lightning strike. Like, okay, it's just me. But
Well,
I
no,
was
it might not be. She may well have done. She's on
the
top of the like pop culture. You never know.
I thought, has Taylor read these Rebecca Yarros books? I don't know. But that to me is probably the one where I've come away feeling like it had a memorable dancey chorus. That
Hmm.
like that one to me was the most sort of the best earworm, which
Yeah.
isn't actually what I normally like Taylor Swift like for particularly. But I enjoyed that one.
Do you
I
think
like
that one will end up being the first single, or at least one of the singles?
Yeah, it feels like a single. It feels
Yeah.
like a single. It feels like something written for radio.
Yeah.
Um, I liked Elizabeth Taylor a lot. And I personally really enjoyed Cancelled,
Oh
but
yeah.
that's because I like Reputation and it felt like a Reputation track to me. And I just I thought it was wicked. Loved
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. It's a good song. It's a good song. But it does have some of those vibes that you're right are across the whole album, which is a smugness, or I described it when I was trying to like think of my own notes. There's a bitchiness in this album
Yeah.
that is like runs through so much that it's like, oh, maybe that has existed in the past. Like Reputation was quite bitchy. There are other places, but it feels a little bit, as you said, like yeah, smug bitchy rather than like defiant bitchy, which is what Reputation felt like. And it cancelled, yeah, as a song, as a just out of context, it's a banger. It's great,
Mm.
but like it brings in some of that, like, oh, okay, you've got some like problems with people. I don't know, and maybe she always has. I don't know.
You're right. The album has this really weird dichotomy because on the one hand, it's super joyful because we have loved up, engaged, happy Taylor. And at other points, you're right, this is the most vicious I've heard Taylor be. And it didn't sit comfortably with me. I didn't like some of it.
Yeah,
I didn't like who she was. It was almost like that very uncomfortable feeling if you think, oh, but you're my friend and I'm not liking this version of you. What
yeah.
who's gonna tell her?
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, I have one song that I have massive backstory and I have an issue with because of the backstory, which fits into this topic. So if you want me to go into depth on one of the songs, I'm
Please
about to
do.
do
Is
it.
this Charlie XCX?
Yes, yes,
Right,
yes, it
go for
is.
it, Matt. Please give this summary because I also am angered by this song.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, I don't know how much you know about Taylor Swift and Charlie XCX's relationship and Charlie XCX's songs, but yes, for the listening audience who may not know, Taylor Swift briefly dated, I don't know, had a fling with whatever, Matty Healy, who is the lead singer of the 1975, right? So
That's it.
they were dating basically just before she ended up with Travis, right? It's her last kind of celebrity relationship fling, and it was all a bit dramatic and whatever. But Charlie XCX um dates and is now married to the George, who's another member of the 1975. And so at the time when Taylor Swift was hanging out backstage at the 1975 gigs, Charlie XCX would also be there, be on tour, and they were like seen together and blah 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 blah. And it was always a bit of a weird pairing, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, do they like each other, not like each other, whatever?" It was all kind of gossipy and whatever. But on Charlie XCX's last album, Brat, which was a massive success. I love that album so much. I think it's brilliant, brilliant. She wrote this song, which is a super interesting and nuanced song about her relationship or her kind of like feelings of insecurity around Taylor Swift. Because obviously Charlie XCX is not as big a celebrity. She is British rather than American. She is a smaller artist, a bit like more weird and quirky, whereas Taylor is like super mainstream. And she wrote this song, Sympathy is a Knife, which is one of actually my favorites on the album. And it's not, to start this off, it is not a diss track at Taylor Swift at all. It is about her own insecurities of having this person always around and always being like compared to and not knowing how to feel and not knowing how they felt about her and like this kind of like feeling of like yeah jealousy but also not because she's trying to be completely different. They know they're like wildly different people, and it's lyrically super interesting and like it's a really good song about that like female insecurity and not not knowing how you're meant to react to this other person that people have a lot of opinions about.
And I
Anyway,
can't imagine what it is like to stand next to Taylor Swift. And I don't mean just physically, which they must have done, but I mean, they're operating in the same space. These are female solo
yes.
artists who are not similar really at all, but who are operating and trying to occupy a similar space.
Yeah.
And I can
And
imagine it be incredibly ugh, disorientating and difficult to stand next to Taylor Swift.
totally. And then like a year and a half later or whatever, since Brat, Taylor Swift brings out this song, which is called Actually Romantic, which is very, very clearly about Charlie XCX. Charlie XCX also has another song on the Brat album that's called Everything is Romantic. And so this is like very clearly a reaction called Actually Romantic. And it's like the most basic bitchy diss track that's like, oh my God, you're so obsessed with me. Why are you so obsessed with me? You must be like gay and in love with me. And it's like, what is this? Like, did you not listen to like what Charlie XCX actually wrote? Did you not understand it? Or did you just like not care and just decide to write a silly dish song and not really care about people's feelings? Like one or the other has happened. Either you didn't understand what Sympathy as a Knife was about, or you just kind of didn't care and just wanted to like make a song about the situation, which, you know, I can imagine as a songwriter, sometimes you just take a situation and you write a song about it, and it probably like gets exaggerated or it gets like furthered. But the fact that we know all of this information and are able to put this into context and it's very, very, very clearly about this situation
Yeah.
just makes it really mean-spirited and like, yeah, kind of childish. It feels like you're a like girl and still in like high school who's like, oh my God, you're so obsessed with me. Stop being so obsessed with me. Like, are we not over
Somebody,
that?
I saw somebody on the internet make that brilliant comparison that it felt like watching the moment in Mean Girls when um Katie Heron takes on the role of the Queen Bee and she sort
Mm,
of replaces Regina George and says the
yeah,
line, the it's like you're obsessed with
with
me or something.
me.
But
Yeah.
it's because Taylor to so many people did have more empathy, more integrity, and seemed to be somebody about like uplifting other people, all of that stuff. And I agree with you. This just felt so unnecessary, so mean, and so different from to circle back. You mentioned like this isn't the first time that we've had sort of similar energy from Taylor. Like there was Reputation, but that felt like her making that album in a position where she wasn't on top. Like that
No.
was Taylor feeling like the underdog, and
Yes.
so that energy was almost welcomed. Now Taylor is the biggest star in the world. She is untouchable. She's a billionaire. Like
She's
I
punching down.
yeah, she was punching down, and I thought, I don't like the song. I don't think it was lyrically intelligent. I thought some of it was lyrically offensive, particularly as you said, because we know who it's about.
Yeah.
Like it's real world context here, and yeah, I felt like it made me feel uncomfortable as like a Taylor stan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
And
I don't know.
as
I'm
a
ashamed of my
self-proclaimed,
t-shirt
yeah,
today.
as a self-proclaimed like Brat and Charlie XCX fan, I'm like, oh, what? Like,
Yeah,
no, this is
I
mean.
don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, and it kind of made me. It's even like it sounded very, but it had like a very basic, like a tune kind of rhythm, whatever, and it
Mm.
reminded me weirdly of some of her really early like country stuff, and even the song "Mean," which is like the opposite, which is like saying why are people being so mean? Like, why have you got to be so mean? And then she comes along and writes a song that's like exactly what a decade ago she was complaining about people doing to her. It's like, oh, come on.
Even within the very same album, is it is it on Eldest Daughter, which is the one that starts with her talking about, the internet's this really cruel place
Yes,
and
yes, eldest daughter. Yeah.
memes are really cold. I'm still like, are we okay to say memes lyrically? I don't know. There were also, we can come back to it, but I felt there were quite a lot of lyrical missteps in this whole album which is weird for Taylor Swift, who's like at the height of her power. And there were some bits where I thought, oh, don't like that.
Yeah, although that often happens, and then I think often she has weird lyrics that then become more normalized over time. Like,
Hmm.
especially in her pop albums. Like, if you think back to like Me or something, everyone laughed at that song lyrically, but then it ended up being like super popular. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But no, I didn't like the meanness. So no, so neither of us is a fan of that track, and it
yeah.
also made me think, and maybe this is a good segue into Wood, that
Mm,
Taylor is in danger of being so big, so famous, so on top of the world that there's almost no one willing not to check her, because I'm not suggesting that she should be checked or that anyone should be checked, but that maybe no one offered an honest opinion,
yeah.
or no one was there to offer an opinion that she respected and thought, like, I'm almost looking for, like, Taylor, where is your true friend who could say, now Taylor, maybe keep that one off the album. Like, good
Yeah.
that you
Well,
put it
I
out,
felt
good
that
that you had
super,
that moment,
yeah.
but
I felt that
don't put it
super
out.
strongly about Tortured Poets, but in a different way. It
Hmm.
was so long and
Yes.
so many songs, and then it was like a double album. And I was like, Taylor, you need someone to be your editor. Like, clearly, nobody has been your editor on this album. And I think you're probably right in like a similar way for this. It's like nobody was, yeah, pointing out the moments when it's like, is that going to come across quite right?
Yes. And this is not unusual. Like, sometimes when something or someone is such a smash success, that happens.
Yeah,
This is it seems really tenuous, but to come back to Rebecca Yaros, you and I talked about how after installment one of Fourth Wing, that had been such an enormous publishing success that actually we felt no one really properly edited the second
yes,
book,
yeah,
or
for
felt
sure.
willing to check her, or
Yeah,
to sort of say, do we really need this bit? Like, and it feels like Taylor at the moment has become so big that, yeah, no one really offered an opinion where maybe it would have been
yeah,
um better for the album.
yeah. Do you want to talk about Wood then?
Yeah.
Because
I
that's the one someone should have told her to stop.
I was listening to it like mid a coffee order. Like, I was somehow multitasking, and I remember I heard some of the lyrics and just thought I had to like skip back 10 seconds because I thought I had misheard, or I was like, wait, let me listen to this again from the start, because is this doing what I think it's doing? Is this a song about her fiance's penis size?
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, it is. It's
Yep.
just like, oh, oh no, oh, oh no, 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 no.
But that's interesting is why can we not take this from Taylor? Because I also love Sabrina Carpenter and love Sabrina Carpenter's songs, and they are dirty. They
Mhm.
are like every other line is some kind of like innuendo, but that's because she's created a persona where it works. She's essentially doing like burlesque style performances on stage. That's her thing, and it's
No,
funny. It's like meant to be caricatured. It's meant to be tongue in cheek. It's silly, and she's doing it on purpose. And it's kind of who she is. And I love it. I love that, like sexy performing and making fun of yourself and all the innuendos. Taylor is just a different person. And it doesn't seem tongue in cheek. It seems just quite literal, which is maybe why it's awkward.
yeah, yeah, it is. And okay, I completely agree. I think it's interesting to make the Sabrina Carpenter comparison, because I also felt that part of the reason that there were bits of this album that didn't work for me is because it felt like Taylor was almost borrowing from Sabrina Carpenter, which is odd
Yeah.
because chronologically, Sabrina is so much her, like, her own protege and her junior almost,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
why
yeah.
they come
She's
together.
another generation coming through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And also in Sabrina's songs, they feel more like that they operate a little bit more in that realm of fiction. Whereas, like, I can really specifically picture this guy that she's like, we know Travis Kelsey. I'm like embarrassed for him and for them because it's so specific.
Yeah.
But also it felt like artistically, if you were going to make, like, I maybe I would have thought it was artistically clever if you like drop in one little naughty unexpected line where I'm like, oh,
Yes.
what did she just say that? But we were like drowning in metaphors, and they weren't even clever metaphors. It was like wand,
Trees,
Redwood
redwood
tree.
trees, wood.
I,
Yeah.
I, no. I was like, this is now, I'm now being hit over the head with this, and I don't want it.
I guess maybe we could just be like, good for you, Taylor. You clearly are having better sex with this guy than you were with other people. Like, fine. Like,
Okay.
carry on.
Also, let me get on my soapbox about this because uh, I also felt that it was ever so slightly misjudged because Taylor is such a champion normally of like I find her that she can be at her best quite socially aware. I do feel she's lost this recently, and this is something
Mm,
that we can come back to, but she's normally been quite socially astute. And I don't think it is an intelligent position to take as a songwriter that has as big a platform as she has to not necessarily produce about a song about good sex with your boyfriend or fiance in this case, but to specifically link that to like size.
yeah.
And I think that's not cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good message. And
Yeah.
I think it's like by all means give us a song about I don't know that you're you can be sexually fulfilled with whoever you're with. It
Yeah, the passion
has to
and
be that they're
the
just like a massive
attention
guy.
and the yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
get what you mean. It's like there's
then
so
like
much
it.
more to sex than just like he's got a big cock.
Yeah, yeah. And so it felt lowbrow from Taylor. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that's the comparison to this album, some of its tracks feeling a bit bitchier. It's like we have seen on previous albums, Taylor occupy that slightly more snarky, or to use her own phrase from this album, like this more girl bossy space. Like,
Mm.
I like karma, I like
Yes.
vigilante shit.
Yeah.
But this like went a bit far.
Mm.
And I love Taylor's sexier songs. I love False God. I love Dress, which obviously has been having a bit of a moment right now. But I was like, Taylor, you can do sexy songs and they're hot. You don't need to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. There was one song on the album that I thought was closer to her kind of like um taking control, like kind of stronger version of Taylor that we saw in Reputation and other places, which was the one that was called Father Figure, that
Yeah.
was about like that kind of had like mafia boss vibes. And although
Yep.
I didn't necessarily like, I wasn't really super into the tune necessarily. Maybe I will be later, but lyrically, I thought that one had more of what I like from Taylor's like I'm gonna be like the mafia soprano boss and like I'm gonna take charge. And like I quite like that. That was reminiscent of some of those other albums that we've enjoyed, I think, more than some of the other
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah, definitely. And I really liked the kind of callback to the old Taylor, and I really liked Ruin the Friendship. That to me
Mm,
felt like the Taylor that I know and love, and that would be a song on Somewhere I Turn Pretty. Or I thought, oh yeah, this is Taylor thinking back to high school. This is Taylor that is about grief and nostalgia and missed opportunity and and romance, but in romance when there's a difficulty and it's awkward and then tragic,
a longing and
a
yeah,
longing, and I was like, yes, this is what you do. Now that's not
yeah.
what I'm expecting from this album because, like we said at the start, I was expecting a kind of all singing, all dancing, Moulin Rouge style, circus style
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it surprised me. Um, can I still hop on about the aesthetic a little bit more?
Yeah, of course.
Which is the other reason I couldn't tell whether I loved or hated the aesthetic that then didn't match the album. This whole diamante, spangly head dress.
Hmm.
Um, Part of me loved it because I love Moulin Rouge, show business, musicals, all the things we always talk about. But a part of me also felt that this is becoming a little bit tired and samey. That now, whenever I see video footage of Sabrina Carpenter, Dua Lipa, Olivia Rodrigo, everyone seems to be being styled the same. There is
Yeah.
so much of the spangly bodysuit, the or the like hot pants and crop top and fishnets with boots look that somehow it's like the current aesthetic of solo female artists is like the sort of outfits that used to be worn on Gladiator, like these hot pants and crop tops, but bejeweled.
Yeah, and at the
And I was
beginning
like,
of the
Taylor, are you picking up on the zeitgeist, or are you now just like recycling something that's actually already become tired?
Yeah, at the
Before
beginning of the Eras tour, those bodysuits and whatever felt new. And
hmm
it's almost like, yeah, now we're 2, 3 years later, and as you say, everyone's done it or moved on like to kind of different versions of it. And yeah, I think I was probably expecting though that the showgirl side of it, the more kind of like cabaret, chorus line, those kind of showgirls might come out more. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a spangly bodysuit and like it could be feathers and but boas and like hats and it was something more like harking back to 20s or 30s or something, which yeah, we just didn't actually see that end up being the main focus, which was a shame.
Yeah, 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 100%. And when I think sometimes when I'm being critical of this album, and I think, am I just being unnecessarily critical because um criticism is what I've reached for when actually it's just that my like expectations weren't met. And like you said, I'm probably gonna like this album more
Yeah.
next week or the week after. But then all the problems that I had with it, I compare to earlier albums where I think, no, that really hit the right note or that really struck the right chord. Like when we think about her slight smugness on this album, or like you said, her kind of punching down, I much preferred the Taylor that she was exploring on Midnights, where it was like she was looking at her stardom a little bit like a disease that she carried. And she talks about, she's the monster on the hill. She's
Yeah.
too big to hang out. Um, like, and it was almost that like her stardom was stopping her from just like going to a friend's wedding or going to a
Yeah.
pub in London, and that it was as embarrassing as it was enabling. Whereas
Yeah.
there was stuff on this album about just like, yeah, she knew she was going to get the big rock. She was going to get this ring. She's won.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and you
yeah.
even look back
And
to
I
like
thought, oh, okay.
the original country songs and whatever, and she was like, she's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers. Well, not anymore. Like
Not
you're
anymore.
you're the cheer captain now. So maybe it's just representing where she is in life and she's genuinely like different now.
Yeah. And I am really glad that she is happy because boy, does she look it. Like, and this is where I have to come back to protecting, like, no, that I love Taylor. I don't want to, I feel like we've been overly negative. It's been so nice watching her promote this album. Like you said, you were watching her on Graham Norton.
Yeah.
I was watching her Heart Radio interview. Like she's been doing a lot of press this week,
A lot of
and
press in the UK as
there's
well. Like
so much press in the UK.
she's
I'm like,
clearly loving
what?
the UK for some reason.
Is that although is that because quite literally every talk show host in the US seems to be like getting cancelled?
Yeah,
Something's
maybe
going on
she
over
needs to
there.
just stay away
Yeah.
from all that shit. Yeah.
She just thought the best place to go and do talk shows is not America right now.
Yeah.
So she's here in the UK. But man, does she look happy. She looks
Yeah.
happy. She looks fab. She is reverse aging, and I don't know how. I
On Graham Norton, she did look like she had slightly too much Botox, but I think maybe they just did it all a little bit like right before the press tour.
You're right. She didn't look great then, but she just generally speaking, she is managing to achieve, and I know she has like the most money on earth, but she is managing to achieve an aesthetic where she doesn't look like the Kardashians. She
No.
doesn't look like overly toxed
And she
and
looks she looks like
made
she's
her own
young, but
shape.
she also doesn't look like she's playing young. Like she looks like a respectable person in their like early 30s. She doesn't look like she's
Yeah,
trying to be 22.
yeah, yeah. But she's got a feeling of lightness and happiness too. She just looked really happy. Like when I
Mm.
saw her do the press for this album, I thought, oh, I am actually happy for you, Taylor. I take it all back. Like I'm sure it will be fine. I'm sure you'll create great art, despite
Yeah.
like, you know, now being entering a state of kind of marital bliss. But yeah, she looked really, really happy.
So
What
what are you looking forward to next? I think I'm pretty excited to see what the singles are and what music videos we get. As I said, like I think because of I am kind of a visual person with music as well, which is weird, but like obvious often music takes a different meaning for me when I have a story or a something with it. And so I'm kind of excited to see what comes up for that. And then also to just see like, yeah, whether my opinions on some of the songs do change over time. Um,
I'm excited to see if we get any expansion of this album. I agree with you that Torture Poets Department felt so long. Um, but I'm like, okay, maybe there's a couple of tracks hiding somewhere on this that would actually somehow improve it overall. Um,
mm,
I'm excited to see the video for Fate of Ophelia, which hasn't come out yet.
yeah.
Love a video. But when you say like what am I excited about? I'm actually really excited for Reputation Taylor's version. I want that.
She's not
I want
doing it,
Why?
Alicia. She's not doing it. She
I want
might
it.
release vault tracks for Reputation, is what she hinted at, but she's absolutely not re-recording Reputation.
This makes me sad. And then I'm sort of then I can't decide if I hate myself for knowing that I'm going to know too many details about her wedding. And and that my phone just will show me people's predictions about what dress she's going to wear. And she's going to wear four different ones. Okay, like what are your predictions for the Taylor wedding? Like, what do you just know?
Well, she's already invited most of the talk show hosts that she's spoken to, so she's clearly planning an absolutely massive, massive. She already invited Graham Norton and Greg James on air, and they are
Yeah,
not going to be like very far down the list. So I think it's going to be huge. But that kind of fits in with like clearly. I feel like there's a version of Taylor like 5 years ago that would have wanted something more like, oh, let's kind of keep it secret and then
yeah,
like, or leak out later what the really romantic pictures and it'll just be family. No, it's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be huge. It's going to be like every celebrity. It's going to be like a victory lap, I think, is what it's going to be.
yeah, yeah. It's so hard to talk about Taylor Swift this week without me desperately wanting to bring up The Summer I Turned Pretty. Not just because I was so obsessed with it and because that was the last podcast we recorded, but because it was a Taylor Swift
Hmm.
vehicle. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the two are legitimately connected. But on her wedding, there is a tiny bit of me that is like, it as it gets bigger and showier, like you, my instinct is like, is this feeling like the Jeremiah and Belly? Is somebody going to
Oh
take them
no.
down like, your wedding's at a fucking country club? Who are you? They're like, you're right. I was expecting her to have something at home, quiet, like a little simpler, but no, it's going to be like the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
This is going to be bigger than a royal wedding.
yeah. It's going to be
Um,
huge.
which is completely wild. I'm also wondering whether we were so like pepped and ready for this Taylor album because of The Summer I Turned Pretty, which basically turned into the Taylor Swift TV musical. And
Maybe a little bit.
well, I felt like I had revised and revisited so much of her back catalogue just through passively absorbing it from that show
Mm, mm,
that I felt ready to talk about this album because I was like, oh yeah, and that feels like Cardigan and like that thing feels like, Love of My Life. And I thought, well, this is just because that's what I've been like watching all
yeah.
summer. That very intelligently at the end of that, here comes a new Taylor album. Is there any song on the new album that you think is going to go on the movie? Like
The
there,
Summer I Turned Pretty. The
yes.
one that sonically I thought sounded like other songs from The Summer I Turned Pretty was Wishlist. I
Mm,
immediately was like, I could hear this in the song. I'm not sure how the lyrics would fit in necessarily because it's a little bit like it's about like other people all wanting all these, these superficial things and her, not needing them because she's got her guy or whatever. So maybe it could fit in. But yeah, it was the sound of it kind of sent me back to Summer I Turned Pretty, and I was like, oh, that's the one I'll tell Alicia. I think should be
yeah.
on the show.
Did you think Alicia is definitely going to bring this up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no way Alicia's going to get through a podcast about Taylor Swift this week without talking about the summer
Totally.
because she's in the grieving process. But to come back to her wedding and how I'm currently feeling about Taylor Swift and what this album has almost pushed me further towards saying is I'm like, okay, Taylor, you are now so big that I am not going to be able to keep making excuses for you not using your power responsibly.
Mm,
Really now in that position where if you are going to flood the zone, if your wedding is going to be the biggest thing that we all talk about for like the next year, I need you to be using that platform more responsibly than you currently are. You're
mm,
now too quiet on big global issues. Like the world could not be worse. Where is your voice? The last time I enjoyed you speaking out on a kind of global issue was when you endorsed Kamala Harris. And
yeah.
that now feels a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever going to. I
I
think
know.
she's in another space. She's in the billionaire space now. She's just not going to.
But she lent into it briefly. I liked that
Yeah.
about her. I liked Miss Americana. I thought, okay, this is a version of Taylor that I really, really um, enjoy. And she is in the billionaire space. But otherwise, it's going to get dangerously close to, and people have made this comparison on the internet, that very frightening clip from the Hunger Games where they're talking about, okay, and then let's get them engaged. Then there'll be a wedding, and we'll distract everybody with this wedding. And we'll just have that be everything. What is she going to wear? Who's doing the dress? Da, 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 da. Meanwhile, death, destruction, all of this. I'm like,
Mm.
oh my God, is that
Well,
place
that is what
we're going to get to?
that is how celebrity functions in our society. And I think there aren't many celebrities at the highest level who do break out of that. And I think it doesn't work when they do necessarily. Like, I'm not sure that I, I'm I'm not sure that there is a functional way for that to play out that works. Even if you think morally it's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
I just I can't see how it would happen, honestly.
And then I guess the big question, do we think this is her last album?
Yeah, interesting. I I had a weird reaction to the end of the album, which was that it felt like a goodbye.
You
It,
text me. I thought, oh my
yeah.
God, you might be right.
But then the more I thought about it, I think maybe it's a goodbye to the Eras tour. Like it's a goodbye to that version of her and that kind of like that that massive period of her life and those audiences. And the maybe it's the one part of the theming of the album that does make sense is that like this was the life of the showgirl that she lived for those years. And that end was a goodbye to that part of her. And that doesn't mean that she won't ever perform again, but it will probably be different. She was not going to do the Eras tour again. So,
Did you think that because she used some of the audio from the live show from the
yeah, for
end?
sure. For
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, too. And she's balanced it cleverly because it could function suitably as either. So if there is a world in which Taylor Swift stops making music, which I don't think there is,
No.
but if there was, then people could look at this album and say, right, yeah, that was a sign off. And she signaled it. And equally, if she goes on making music, you're right, then that's a nice way to wrap up and say goodbye to specifically the Eras tour. So it could be either. I really hope she doesn't stop making music. I think she's got lots more in her. I want to end this on a positive note. So I do want to be like, there were moments throughout this album, even sometimes on songs I didn't like, that I thought, damn it, that's a good line. Or, that's a great image.
Yeah.
Or she is such a capable songwriter and lyricist that doesn't go away. It was only that, yeah, this album's going to take a while for me to settle, I think. I need to listen again and again.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Oh my goodness. Well, until next time, Maddie.
You've been listening to the Fangirl Diaries. Follow us on Instagram at Fangirl Diaries Pod.
And do share us with any of your friends that you think might enjoy the podcast and rate or review us on Spotify or Apple Music.